Howdy, race fans. How the hell are you? This is Race Chat Live. Uh-oh. Glad to have y'all. Glad to have y'all here with us tonight. How about another episode of Race Chat Live? Got the boys back together again. Of course, we just left Daytona, and let me tell you something. Daytona was fine. You should be able to watch this show right now on Fan for Racing Facebook Live page. Also, there's a YouTube link that we can get shared out to you. And I believe in just a few minutes when we get the show rolling, we'll be able to share it over to the 110 Nation and the Race Chat Live Facebook page as well. So if I can get one of my colleagues there to kind of work on that to see how we can get that shared, that would be great. If not, I'll check it out here in just a minute. Got you going on there, Taz Taylor. He said he's working on this thing. Of course, if you remember back through our years of doing Race Chat Live, I always kind of had an opening monologue. It's something that I've learned from the best of the best, whether it be Dan Patrick or Colin Cowherd. And I don't want to overstep and I don't want to overtalk because I have some great co-hosts here who have just as much of amazing opinions as I do. But I do want to talk something real quick because obviously, you know, we so many times compare our sport to stick and ball sports. And I think that we forget that this sport is a mixture of entertainment and sports as well. And what I mean by that, what I want to get started with here tonight is there's a lot of buzz going around that Daytona is back, like NASCAR is back. And it's a lot of the changes have happened since the lawsuit, and a lot of changes were already set forth before that. We're no new character to change. We've watched NASCAR change a lot over the last 20 years, and over the last 5 to 6 years, it seems like those changes were not getting to the fan base. And now it feels like the brakes have been pushed. We're kind of going back to retro. We're going back to what we've done before. We're going back to a point structure. We're going back to old racetracks that we left a long time ago. And as we're doing all that, you know, the one thing that I think we want to hear is the buzz, right? The buzz, man. Tracks are buzzing. The community's buzzing. And I really felt that when we left Daytona after this speed week. And the reason why I believe is because we're really back focusing on the not just the sports side of things, but also the entertainment behind it, the entertainment factor. A lot of sports are stick and ball sports. You show up 4 hours, then you go home. NASCAR's not necessarily like that. As most of you have gone to tracks, it's a culture. It's an all weekend affair. You get there on Friday. You don't leave till Sunday night or Monday morning. You know, you stay in hotel rooms and campgrounds and camper trailers. You communicate amongst your the fans and the people that are there at the racetrack, and it just becomes a community. And the community, I don't believe, has changed much over the last several years, but there has been a lot of negative culture going on with the amount of changes and the amount of fear that the sport was moving in the wrong direction. I really feel like we've put that behind us now, and I really feel like that we're headed back into the positive structure that, yeah, we may not have the game 7 moment at Phoenix or at our closing championship track. But we are going to still crown a champion, and we're going to have a build-up to it as well. It's going to be different than what we've had in the past. It's going to be different than I think what a lot of us are used to and really had grown comfortable with. I heard a lot of outside of this week that we can finally check the point standings again because points actually matter. And you know what? With that said, I myself said, you know what? This is an exciting time because, yeah, like we get to do that here all year long. We get to watch what those points look like. It's not a win and you're in. Now you can win and go lose 27 races, 24 races to be exact, or 25 races, and still suck at the end of the year and not make your way into a pity playoff situation. So I think that we're in a new age, though it feels a little bit like the old age, and that means that hopefully we can gain some positive traction and move the sport in the right direction. And I want to tell you before I close this out, when you had Michael Jordan on the biggest stage in NASCAR, when you had Michael Jordan hanging on to that trophy above his head. That was the coolest thing in the world. And then on top of that, Mr. Jim France comes up there and shakes the hand with a guy that they were literally just in a lawsuit with. And I think that really shows the coming together of the sport. That though we had to go through a time of tribulation, though we had to go through maybe a setback to some, in the end, we're moving forward and we're moving the sport forward. It's an entertainment business, but it's also a sport. And I'm grateful to call it my sport. With that being said, I want to welcome my co-host here, Mr. CJ Sports from the 110 Sports Nation, and of course the Tasmanian Devil of Flaggers, Taz Taylor. So, guys, welcome aboard. We got a little bit of background noise going on in the back. Maybe we need to mute our microphones when we're not on there. Maybe that'll help the broadcast out a little bit better. As a matter of fact, and here's the thing that my son told me. He said, Dad, make sure that you start recording when you go in to do this. And guess what I forgot to do? I forgot to go in and start the recording. Uh-oh, let's see. Let's see what we got here. Hold on. So, Taz Taylor, let's open up the uh-oh. Start. Okay, there we go. Okay. All right. So our first subject of the day, I believe, is going to be the fuel mileage, right? The discussion of fuel mileage. There was a bit of part of the race where the guys, I think the Toyotas were out front. They were running out front, and we saw a drastic change in speed. Basically, they were running around maybe 3/4 throttle. I heard less than that, up to 40-50% throttle.
You muted yourself, Chris. There you go.
Did I?
There you go. You're back.
Okay. All right. I don't know how I did that. Yeah. So anyway, so we were talking about the fuel saving and stuff. It was very noticeable, right, guys? It was very noticeable that these guys were out there. They were slowing the field down. Nobody could go. Everybody was kind of stuck in their corner. Bad for racing. Like, I don't want to start this out on a negative tone or anything like that, but I do believe that there's certain things to this super speedway package that we've got to fix, and I think right there is the beginning of it. Getting these guys out of fuel saving mode. What are your guys' thoughts? I'm going to start with you, Tasmanian Devil. You look like you're ready to go.
Yeah. With this super speedway style racing, as we talked about, they at one point, it was towards the, I wouldn't say like middle of stage 3. It might have been a little bit later on. But the racing got to be a little more about fuel mileage, and you can tell based upon the speeds, as you mentioned, Chris, they were doing about 50% throttle maximum. And you can also tell with the lap times, they were like 2 seconds off the average lap times, because I think they were running, 47, 48-second laps, and they were running like a near 50-second lap pretty much. And of course, depending on how you want to look at it, you can look at it as this is a boring fest, you're kind of killing racing. Or you kind of looked at it as like, this is an interesting thing to look at because now we got strategy involved. And I can understand both sides of the story with this. In terms of boring the race, yeah, it kind of sucks because nobody's really making any moves. Nobody's trying to find a way to get to the front or finding their teammate and work together to knock off the front runners and stay up there. So it kind of killed that aspect. At the same time, it made things a little interesting because you have strategy involved, and a lot of it had to do with short pitting. You can trying to think of what it is. Short pitting, I would say probably, I don't know what other things it could be. I guess in terms of, and a lot of the short pitting was weird because it was like groups of like 5, 6 at a rip. There was no big massive group. Like it wasn't like all the Fords. Wasn't like all the Fords went down and some of the Toyotas joined them in a pack of like 15, 20 cars. And Chevys were the same deal, and the rest of the Toyotas joined with. It wasn't like that. It was like 5 here, 6 there, another 4 there, and I don't know. It was weird. I didn't understand some of the strategy call. Obviously, it worked out in the end with how the finish worked, but I don't know if it's like a handling deal. I don't know if it's. I'm not sure what it really is. Is it a handling problem? Is there like a horsepower problem? Like, I don't remember super speedway racing being so much of a fuel mileage race, at least to not this extent that I can recall.
Right.
I guess I'm a little bit different with this all because it wasn't the most exciting, but then again, we're 3 wide doing what, roughly 180 miles an hour at a super speedway. So at the same time, it's not the most exciting. You know, if we wreck in lap 1 through 50, everybody gets mad talking about everybody's impatient. So now everybody's being patient until that last pit stop. Now everybody's mad because everybody was being patient with the fuel mileage. That would have complained if we would have done this in the first 50 laps, if we would have done the exact opposite. So I guess I'm not as upset as everybody else. Now, I did send you guys a clip with Kenny Wallace. Kenny Wallace's fix to it all is just throw a competition flag with 25 laps left. That solves the whole fuel mileage because now everybody's going to have to pit with 25 laps and refuel anyway. I don't know if that's the answer, but I guess I am not as mad. I'm more pissed off at some of the stupid moves that took out a third of the field at different times than I am the 3 wide. Let's wait until the last pit stop. Then let's have all these wrecks that we ended up having at the end of the race versus doing it with 30 laps left. And then we still got 30 laps with only 10 cars left. So I guess I'm more in the minority with this because yes, like I said, it wasn't the most exciting racing at times there. And at least we were building up to it. Was kind of the slow build up to what we got in the last 10 laps and the last lap pass with Tyler Reddick and everything else. Like, so I'm fine with it. Like I said, I guess I'm a little bit different with it.
Well, you know, and I've heard some different stuff being thrown around, and one of the things that I thought sounded pretty good was taking downforce out of these race cars, allowing them to throttle up and move away from the pack. I think that's probably, there would be some issues in that because you would definitely have the pack trying to chase down somebody who's trying to leave there. Of course, we've never known anybody to actually hook up together and kind of walk away from the field. That kind of isn't how drafting works. But I think basically what was the thought process is if you take away a little bit of downforce and you don't have so much reliability on the air pulling you like you do when you get back towards the back, and you're able to make that throttle respond and pull away from the field, then you won't have so much of the guys trying to keep in save mode for so very long. But my idea, actually my own personal idea, was simple. We don't make the fuel cell smaller. We make the gas can smaller, right? They can have as big of a fuel cell as they want, right? But we can definitely control how much fuel they're putting in the race car. And that would be interesting to know that they could start the race with a full tank of fuel. And as the Race went on. That full tank of fuel cannot be refilled back up to full again unless strategy is played where they are able to keep it all the way till the end. Changing the amount of fuel you're able to put in that car doesn't fix the broad opinion, but what it would add is strategy. And if I explain this properly, maybe you guys can agree or disagree with me. Everybody starts the race with a full tank of fuel, but you say you have a 13, 14 gallon fuel tank, but you only have 10 gallons that you can refuel. What do? Do you run the long distance and run it out, and then you're only able to top it off with the 10 gallons of fuel that you have? Or do you conserve enough during the race to make sure that every time you're pumping in, you're filling back to the top, and then be it no cautions or maybe a long green flag run at the end, now you still have your full tank of fuel to run it to the end. Then you can outrun everybody in the field. What do you guys think about that? I know it's a strategy. I know it's if was a fifth, but I really do feel like that we could hit onto something, and it would be that simple. Just changing the size of the refueling mechanism into your car. I'll start with you, Taz Taylor. What do you think about that?
I don't think I would go down to that route. My thinking is we stop doing this. Everybody goes down to pit road under caution, and then with like 2 laps left under the caution period, everyone comes down for that like little splash just to top things off. Like, no, you got your fuel during that time. That should be it. Like, I understand you want the most fuel possible, but at the same time, you're under pit road, under yellow, get the fuel you need now. Otherwise, if you're so worried about track positioning and fuel, maybe you need to figure out your game when it comes to your one pit strategy under yellow. So when you go down with everybody else, okay, say if you came down as the leader and you came out of pit road in 3rd place, okay, you lost 2 spots. Not a big deal. You're still in the front. You got your fuel. If you didn't get enough fuel, that should be on you and your team. That should not. There should be no, okay, we're going to fill us up at 3/4 of the way, and then maybe with like 2 laps before we go back to green, we come back down, do like a splash of fuel, and that's about it. No, it should, your fuel stop should be when it's under yellow. If we do green flag stops and do that, okay, great. But I don't know. I wasn't entirely a fan of let's go down and fuel for 5 seconds with everybody going down, and then let's go down 2 laps before green just to top things off. Like, you should have done your fuel at that point.
I don't feel that. Because it's just another strategy. And most of those people that went back down pit road with 1 to go were people towards the end trying to find a different strategy to make up the distance, especially when we was going through these periods where everybody was just playing follow the leader. So some of these teams were just trying to find a different strategy, maybe be able to get past the green flag pit stops at everybody else, so you didn't have all these cars coming down at one time, and we see the near wrecks and everything else. And I think we might have seen one in at least one of this series where they overshot and wrecked. I think one spun out. There was no caution. I can't remember if it was a caution in any of the 3 due to that. But you kind of make it where if you have 3 or 4 or 5 of you all that went down for a splash, now you can wait till everybody gets out of your way if you have green flag stops. I'm not hateful on that whole strategy, but I will play devil's advocate a little bit here. NASCAR spends billions of dollars every year in the technology and the wind tunnels and all the science and all the technology goes behind all these cars. And NASCAR hires some of the most brilliant minds in all of racing to be crew chiefs and engineers and everything else, mechanics, all the whole shebang. So if we decide to go to 10-gallon tank or gas cans, just using that as the example. Do we not assume that these guys would just find another way to make it a fuel mileage thing and just work it a different way, and we still have the same result? Like,
Yes.
we can change things, but these guys are the best of the best at what they do.
Right.
So they're going to find a way to put us right back where we're at. It's not the first time this has ever happened. It just it took a while to come back, circle back around. That's what's just going to happen again. It just a strategy and trying to find a way to be there at the end, and less fuel at the last stop, as much make that last pit stop as fast as possible. That's all they harped about, was just save as much fuel, because whoever saves the most gas, that last pit stop is the quickest one in and out, and they're going to do the same thing. They're just going to find a different way to do it.
Yeah. How many of you in your jobs have been training somebody and you say, look, this is not rocket science, right? Like, it's not hard to figure out. It's not rocket science. But let me tell you something. The engineers that work for these race teams, they are rocket scientists. And like you said, Mr. CJ Sports, they're going to figure out a way to make it work. They're going to figure out a way. They're going to get the formula of what they need to do to cheat the system some way or another. So when you create one strategy, you have literally the best brains in NASCAR working to how do we outdo that strategy. And we see it in local racing. We see it in professional or, late model racing. We see it in the lower tiers of NASCAR, all the way up to the greatest guys that sit behind those pit boxes. They're going to try to figure out a way to outdo the system. So that's where the creativity has to come in. What can we do in the sport that costs the least but has the most effect? And that's where I come up with the gas can theory of giving these guys a smaller gas can. Now, no doubt in theory, they can never run, as long as they kept 4 extra gallons in their tank, they can never go below the threshold of what needed to be a fuel strategy. And that's, I believe, what you're saying, that kind of the hole in this is the people that are getting paid on those boxes, they'll figure out a way to maximize whatever rule change you bring.
Yeah, I mean, basically, even with a 10-gallon, you're basically adding one more pit stop. They're going to do the exact same thing, just we're going to have basically one more pit stop in the mix, because they had, or 2 more pit stops, however many, 3 less gallons per stop is going to get you. But I mean, the same thing is going to happen. They're going to try to save fuel. They're just going to do it in shorter windows versus the longer windows we're doing right now, even with that strategy.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Do you guys have any suggestions of what you would believe NASCAR should do to keep this from happening? Because I'm going to tell you once again, if it's noticeable to the fan that the cars are slow, then we have an issue. What I've heard so many times is you can't really tell 10 miles an hour difference. And I agree with that to a certain point. But we were to the point there in mid-race where it was very noticeable that the cars were moving at a slower pace. Does anybody here at this table tonight have a suggestion or a thought, a theory that would keep and reframe that from happening again? I'll start with you, Mr. CJ Sports. You look like you're ready to go.
Once again, it didn't bother. I like I said, I'm in a very small boat with this, because it didn't bother me. Like, I grew up watching 3-wide racing. That was 3-wide racing. Like I said, and even back then when they weren't necessarily saving, it was still kind of, to me, it's exciting because it impresses me that they're going that fast, 3-wide, that close. And so I love speedways for that reason. And so I am a very small minority. I didn't really pay attention to feeling that they were slower until it kept getting brought up in our chat. And like I said, because of the strategy, and it just didn't bother me. So I don't know, maybe you change the compound of the tire and make it where the tires is now part of the strategy, versus it seemed like you didn't have to hardly get tires all weekend long to throw that in the mix. I don't know if that's a possibility without risking any kind of safety measures. But if you make the tires being a factor, then of course that's going to change some strategy up. That could be a possibility.
Okay. How about you, Chaz Taylor?
I think you might be onto something there, Jason, with the tire thing, because we're going to Atlanta next weekend. If I remember right, I understand Atlanta is repaved and now races like a super speedway. However, I do feel like the racing at Atlanta is different than Talladega or Daytona. And I don't mean that in the sense of it's a 2-mile track versus, or 2.5-mile track versus a mile and a half. That's not where I'm going with this. With Atlanta, I feel like there's a tire game involved. It's not just fuel strategy. And I feel like if we can somehow take something from Atlanta, like for instance, the tire game, can we figure out how to get that to be a factor into the Daytona and Talladega racing? Put a little bit more strategy into it. Put a little more, or I guess a little bit more of a shuffle in the field.
Mm-hmm.
I guess instead of, like Chris mentioned at one point with stage 3, with how the Toyotas, when they got up front, they set the tone and the pace, which is what you're supposed to do as the leaders, obviously. But in terms of the race product, like if tire game was involved, would they have been in the front and setting the pace as long as they were?
Mm-hmm.
Would they have fallen back at one point, and then the Fords or Chevys, whoever, taken over? And then you play the strategy of, say, like 10, 15 cars coming to pit road for the green flag pit stop or whatever that may be.
I have one more. I know once upon a time we used to get bonus points for leading the most laps. And maybe we throw that back in there and then incentivizes people who want to lead the most laps to get those bonus points, because now points are important, not just wins, to help kind of make people not want to play, follow the leader, conserve. Hey, look, I know if I lead the most laps, that's an extra 5 or 10 points that could decide, me being in the playoffs or winning a championship this year.
Yeah, I did hear some things about the points and bringing back like the lap lead point and leading the most laps, and how that would add to strategy versus the fastest time of the evening that gets a point. So I'd like to see bonus points everywhere. I love bonus points. I think that's a reason to give these guys a chance to roll and to lead that spot. You would, in a place like Talladega or Daytona, to be able to lead the most laps there and get a point would actually kind of mean something. I think it would push these guys to push a little bit harder. Remember, we went from this strategy for the last several years of winning, you're in. So once you win, you can breathe and you can try different things because you're in. And, it's all about picking stage points and stuff. Now we're back to a points racing championship. And that means every point is going to matter for the end of the year and for that 16. And we were in situations in the old format where guys were missing it by a point. I believe Martin Truex Jr. was like, fourth in season points, and missed the cut because we had so many winners that year. I believe that was 2021. So, there's definitely
2022.
That thin line. 2022. Okay. So there's definitely that thin line that creates an opportunity for these guys to race for a little bit more. And I would like to see the most laps led and the laps led point to be brought back. And I think that would really have a significant effect with how guys race at these super speedways. But I kind of understand what you're saying there, Mr. CJ Sports. It's not harming anything, and it definitely, we're not going to have the fastest race ever completed doing this strategy. But look, a lot of that stuff's gone anyway with stage racing. So is it affecting the actual outcome of the race? I don't believe so. I don't think anything could have changed the outcome of the end of this Daytona 500. Unless we were just have closed it without caution. Now, once those cautions breed cautions, we know how that goes, and we got the finish of the race based off of that scenario. And I'm going to tell you something, and I told everybody this: the move of the race, the game ball went to NASCAR for not throwing that caution after the wreck in turn 1, and they didn't throw it again at the end of the race where Chase Elliott and them kind of got turned around. So I think Larry Mack had a little bit of a negative reaction to that, and I do understand that safety should be the priority for racing, but I also think that between the communication level and whatnot, and being that it was the end of the race and we would have to slow down the cars anyway, I don't believe that there was any bit of safety compromised by allowing those guys to race at their to the end. But so any other thoughts about the race that we have from that point of view? Mr. CJ Sports or Taz, are we good on that area?
No, we good. The caution thing, I maybe could see the caution coming on the second wreck because you were coming down the start-finish line and you had the rest of the field coming. I absolutely positively agree with no caution on the wreck that was in turn 1, 2, that was pretty much gone and out of the way. If there was a real threat or concern, I'm sure NASCAR would have thrown the caution on that, but I think everybody was out of the way. I wouldn't have minded the second caution because everybody was coming racing back to the line. So I could have seen that one being a caution. So I applaud NASCAR as well. I'm glad they didn't. But I wouldn't have necessarily been upset if the second wreck would have drawn the caution, got everybody slowed down with it all being right there at the start finish line.
I give NASCAR props. I thought they were going to throw the caution immediately because they've been known to do that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But they actually did what you're supposed to do. Let the thing play out before you throw the yellow immediately. They actually did it. Props to NASCAR. Good job, guys. You got one.
Way to go, NASCAR. Yeah. 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 Let them race. I feel like that's what Dale Earnhardt was saying. What do you think? Hot diggity dog. NASCAR's going to let them race to the end. All right. All right. Let's go to the next subject. But before we do that, we're bringing back the stat of the day. Stat of the day. Top. Stat of the day. Stat of the day. All right. The stat of the day. Tyler Reddick became one of only 13 other drivers to win in all 3 series at one particular track. And I'm going to tell you, the king of them all would be no doubt, Kyle Busch. He's won at 17. He's won 3 races at 17 different venues. Kevin Harvick, second in that stat book with 7. Mark Martin has 4 wins, 4 tracks that he's had 3 wins at, for each series. And that's crazy. I don't remember Mark racing too many Truck Series races. Christopher Bell has 2. Kyle Larson, Ryan Blaney, Carl Edwards, Chase Elliott, Casey Kane, Brett Keselowski, Bobby Labonte, and William Byron each have 1. Tyler Reddick has added his name to one of 13 to win in all 3 series at a certain track. So stat of the day goes to Tyler Reddick.
The fact that we go from 17 to 7 to 4. Holy crap. What? Talk about gappage.
Well, and also you got to, be aware that Mark Martin, started his career long time before the Truck Series ever came about. I think Mark Martin started somewhere around 82 or 84, full time, I think from 86 or 87 on forward. So the Truck Series come in 95, and it really wasn't raced much with the Cup drivers. So the fact that he's got 4 of those tracks is really surprising, and I would like to go back and see the true races where he had won the Truck Series, because I just don't have very many memories of Mark Martin winning truck races. But I know Kyle Busch, he went on a tear there for a few years, and that's why the guy's got over 200 wins in the NASCAR Premier Series. So, no doubt with his name being there. But Kevin Harvick, I think he kind of belongs in history books. So no surprise there being second on that list. Tyler Reddick's got a long way to go, man. He's got, let's just say he's got 17 more tracks to win at if he wants to add his name to that to the top of that list there. It just seems like Kyle Busch has probably done something nobody else will ever be able to do. As we move on into our next subject here tonight, we'll close out that one. And hopefully our streaming service, StreamYard, will clip the stat of the day so that we can post that and use that amongst our social media. Going on to the next subject, I believe it's going to be, it's going to be the Daytona 500 victory confidence boost for not only Tyler Reddick, who stayed winless in 2024, but also the organization of 2311 after a long, hard fight lawsuit where neither party won or lost, but there was a compromise. How does that set the moral boost, I believe, going in for the rest of the year? We just talked about how Daytona is back. There's a big buzz going on that NASCAR's back and we're moving in the right direction again. This organization just had a fight of their lifetime and come out probably a lot better off than what a lot of people would have thought. And I'm sure the naysayers were in Michael Jordan's ear telling him how crazy he was for continuing this lawsuit. It was going to be something that he could never win. Now, post-December, we're into February, the start of the Daytona 500. Tyler Reddick takes the number 45 to victory lane. And I do want to say that the 45 it does have some significance here. And I didn't really realize it until Kyle Petty had made a statement that he was hoping that Adam Petty would take the 45 to Cup Series victory lane. And so I know that Kurt Busch won in that car a couple of years ago, and it put the 45 into victory. But how about Kyle Petty still, thinking about his son, the 45 car, and the significance it was to him to see Tyler Reddick win the Daytona 500. This guy is from the dirt tracks as well. So I believe that Tyler Reddick winning, Michael Jordan standing on the biggest stage that NASCAR has, that in itself was major milestones that we accomplished in just one race, a championship race, the Daytona 500. Taz Taylor, I'm going to start with you.
Well, first things first, I'm going to point out Tyler Reddick's single first before I go to the team. What seemed like the beginning of Speed Weeks, it seemed like the whole qualifying and duels, whatever, it seemed like, I guess, Tyler Reddick and the organization as a whole wasn't really up to par, I guess you could say, which I guess you could say for Tyler Reddick's end, it's kind of common. I know he has a super speedway win at Talladega, if I remember correctly, but, I mean, I don't know. To me, it felt like normal, wasn't full-blown 2311. You didn't really hear Riley Herbst for much of the week. Again, you didn't really hear Tyler Reddick. I mean, Reddick had a poor qualifying effort. He had I don't think he performed very well in the duels either. So, and then, but like the star of the show for qualifying and duels was Corey Heim. I mean, Bubba Wallace kind of mixed it up a bit, which is not surprising because he's strong at super speedway races. So I feel like that, I think that Tyler Reddick specifically wasn't the guy you circled to win the 500, or at least be a contender for it. Then the day of the 500 came. All of a sudden, 2311, like, collectively came alive. And I think Tyler Reddick played whatever strategy he played, or maybe it was a team type of thing. Something played very well and very correctly, because Reddick said in his post-race interview, he said when it was on in the closing laps, it was on. He did not lift the throttle. He was hoping that he made the right moves. He was hoping he lined himself up with the right person behind him. And luckily, that right person behind him throughout those closing laps, it was either Bubba Wallace or Riley Herbst. And as you mentioned, Chris, winless in 2025. The year before, he was a Championship 4 contender. To go from Championship 4 to contender to a winless season.
Won the regular season championship.
Right, but he didn't win a race, though, in that process. So
no, the year before.
Oh,
okay,
yeah. So 2024, wins the regular season, becomes Championship 4 contender. 2025, not even really talk of the town at all. talk about like a down 2025. A lot of it there was a lot of factors. You had the court case involved. I know Reddick had a couple personal things going on with his newborn child at the time. There could be many different factors. But after this court case and everything that Reddick went through on the personal side, it seemed like that giant monkey went off on Sunday. And I'm going to say Sunday specifically because that's when Reddick and 2311 came alive, and we saw one heck of a finish out of that. And kudos to Reddick as well for giving as much credit for that win to Riley Herbst, because, I mean, let's be real. I don't think anybody else would have pushed Reddick as much as Herbst did at the end.
I'm going to kind of piggyback off that here in a second with the Riley Herbst thing, but you're talking 3 cars in the top 10, and then you want to throw Corey Heim in there, who had a very competitive car, was out front. I can't remember if he caused a wreck or was just involved with the wreck, but finishing 28. But had a very competitive car. So yes, the morale's got to be good. You got to feel great. You were very competitive with the Riley Herbst thing. Not only Tyler Reddick throwing it out there, but can you imagine your team owner, the GOAT of the NBA, a 6-time champion, who is just as emotional winning the Daytona 500 and redid the whole iconic holding the trophy, whole pose, letting you know that we saw what you did. We respect what you did. You were a team player. You are not forgotten. You know, Jordan was throwing his flowers for the guy that helped his teammate win the race and show that he was a team player. So if there was any discussion about morale not being up at going into this race, by the time this race is over and by the time Michael Jordan got done speaking, they got to be walking on cloud 9. All the drivers. I don't think they let the 2311 team down, to include Hamlin. But more specifically, when you have one of the greatest athletes to ever play any sport in the world, praise you and praise your team and have the emotional breakdown, who has been on top of the world, you know you did something.
Yeah, and one thing I also want to mention is like I said, the fact that the 2311 camp started qualifying in duels with raw speed out of their open car that doesn't run regular to basically compete for a front row spot in the Daytona 500. That should say something. And like I said, Reddick and Herbst, they were nowhere to be talked to for any of that. So it kind of made you concerned, like, are they kind of feeding off of the 2025 deal? And then going into Sunday, it was like a complete flip.
But talking all week, more specifically Sunday, can we really say, I mean, we just got done talking about how they were 3 wide and nobody did nothing for a good chunk of the race. So just because we didn't talk a lot about them, more specifically Sunday, excuse me, is that the lack of anything other than they just playing the gas saving mode that everybody else was? It just didn't seem, you know, I don't want everybody, well, you know, they weren't competitive all day long and all of a sudden at the very end. Well, how do we know that when everybody ran 3 wide for 50 laps of the race and, you know, nobody looked really good. Everybody was going slow. Everybody was kind of setting themselves up for that last pit stop is all I'm kind of throw out there.
I think 2311 as an entire organization throughout the entirety of that race at one point was mixing it up front. You had Corey Heim at one point to start the race, because obviously he started up front. So you had Corey Heim at that point. Then throw in a little bit of Bubba Wallace. I think Reddick might have shuffled in at some point during the stage 1 or whatever. Stage 2, Riley Herbst just shows up. Reddick is in there. I don't remember if Bubba got top 10 in stage 2 or not. But then during that whole point of the fuel mileage and everybody running 2 seconds off normal lap times, that was where outside of I think out of Corey Heim, because I think at that point he was written off at that point. I think he might have been involved in that wreck that Hamlin and Allgaier had the scuffle in. He might have been involved in that. But like Bubba, Reddick, and Herbst, more so Bubba, because Bubba was running more up front than the other two. That was like, for that whole spiel, that was like I understand there was a bunch of other Toyotas, but primarily that was 2311 right there.
Yep. Yeah, you said it, Mr. Cheesy Sports. I think they had three cars in the top 10 at the end of the finish. Heim was definitely a car to reckon with in qualifying. I think that there was a little bit of a change, a little bit of gimmick in the qualifying, being that now they were completely reliant on on putting a time. The top two were going to be locked in with time instead of having to go and fall back on it if they didn't do well in the duels. And I really think that changed the complexity of how these guys were going to strategize coming into the qualifying side of it. And you were just basically going to, rag out your car as much as you could, create as fast of a hot rod as you can, no matter what it was going to race like, because of course you could fix that in the racing. And so that's why I think that we saw such fast hot rods from the RFK machine, who didn't make it. Corey LaJoie didn't make it on the fast time, but Dale Jr.'s number 40 car did, and Corey Heim was able to be just a tad bit faster. And I think that during that time, we were a little bit confused of what they were celebrating for the second time, but we were kind of the dumbasses in it, because basically if they were in the top 10, they were going to have to go qualify again for another round, which could have potentially knocked out one of those guys from that had the faster time. So I wasn't thinking about that. It only was brought to my attention later on. So let's go here. Let's go this route real quick. Of course, this is the prime crown jewel that any organization would like to have. But this isn't the first crown jewel. And I think that we're so quickly to overlook the fact that Bubba Wallace just won Brickyard in August, right? Or September, right? So this is actually back-to-back years of grabbing a crown jewel. Now, this is the crown jewel of all crown jewels. This is a championship. You will always be recognized as the 2026 Daytona 500 champion, Tyler Reddick. It's still the 2011 Daytona 500 champion, Trevor Bayne. He never won another race. He really wasn't significant much in the sport thereafter, but you're always going to consider him the Daytona 500 champion. And I think that really has a big significance in the organization and the move forward. But let's not forget that Jordan must have a little secret sauce going on, because now he has capitalized in 2 crown jewels in the last 2 years. So in 2025 and now here at the beginning of 2026.
Got 2 more to go.
Well, we need a Bristol, right? And who better other than
I wasn't considering Bristol as a crown jewel.
Really? Okay. So which one were you? Of course, Darlington, I guess.
Darlington with the Southern 500, and then right. Charlotte with the
Coca-Cola 600. Okay. All right. So is Bristol not considered a crown jewel?
I think there's only 4 crown jewel races, because Bristol, okay. I don't really consider Bristol as a crown jewel. I see it as like a popular yearly ritual, especially the night race more than the day race. When Bristol was the dirt race, I guess you could say, I wouldn't say crown jewel, but kind of in that ballpark. Okay. Although it never went over as much as like NASCAR or most of the like dirt fans would have expected.
Okay, so let's go this route real quick. Tyler Reddick, a free agent at the end of the year. I hate to jump into silly season, Mr. CJ Sports shaking his head no.
And
Taylor,
that boy. Extend that boy.
he ain't gonna be a free agent.
Show me the money. that's what Tyler Reddick's saying right now. Show me the money. How big would that check be?
I don't know. I think that might depend more on how the season go. I don't think he'll be a free agent now coming off the season he did last year. I think this season will kind of help set that bar and give both sides a little bit more of a negotiating table, to play with. But I don't think he'll be a free agent at the end of this year. I think that if they're smart, Tyler Reddick's a good driver. He's still young. He could be, one of the faces of your organization for a while. I just can't see them not signing him and keeping him in camp.
Let me stay with you real quick, Mr. CJ Sports, real quick. You're a guy of loyalty. You believe that, there's certain relationships that are built within these organizations. Just real quickly, simple answer. Is Tyler Reddick at home?
Yes.
Test him.
And can I
Sure.
Seeing Jordan with his family, and I know there's a big hole to do with his kid, and it's just crazy to me but
you're not doing that.
But seeing Jordan with his family and how, even being a Daytona 500 champion, you still got to have some kind of, most people would have some kind of still, oh my God, this is Michael Jordan. This is the GOAT of, and just to see them around each other and how comfortable they are and how comfortable Jordan is with them as a team owner, I can't see that not being home for him.
Yeah.
If you compare him to, I guess you could say like some of these top owners like Hendrick, Gibbs, Penske, Jordan is like interactive. He's involved. Like the fact that you mentioned, Jason, like it's like a family deal. Like Jordan's getting involved and interacting with Reddick's family, not just Reddick himself saying congratulations, let's take a few pictures and then leave. Because that's what some of these owners would do. Others owners would do. Jordan's not like that. Jordan's like, no, let me celebrate with everybody. Let me have a good time with everybody. Like he interacts. He's involved. Like I feel like Reddick is right at home. He feels great about it. And I'm not knocking that on any other owner. It's just that's just Michael Jordan. Like
and to have an owner that is going to go toe to toe with NASCAR and has your back. Like how can that not be your home? Like if my boss went toe to toe with the boss of the biggest organization in racing, and that's my boss. That's where I'm standing right there. I am home. I am 100% confident. I am 100% comfortable. There's no. I just can't see it.
In my opinion, as of right now, in terms of Reddick, as we kind of talk about like free agency and stuff like that, I would say Reddick with the 500 win, and I know last year was winless. I would say he's probably looking at like a 2-year extension. But if he's more consistent and actually contending for wins, or maybe gets another win or two this year, I could see like that 2-year extension could be like a 5-year extension, let's say. The reason why I say that is because like you have Corey Heim knocking on the door, who's going to take a ride, whether if that's going to be with 2311 or he finds another ride somewhere in the Toyota camp. And if I were 2311 or Joe Gibbs and you have Corey Heim in your back pocket, you either A, need to make some moves quickly, or B, you're going to have to let him go and deal with the fact that Corey Heim, if he's in the right ride with the right team, he's going to eat you alive, and you're going to wish you made that move sooner to keep him.
Yeah, I definitely see something happening fast. So the Race Chat Live poll question for this week will be, has Tyler Reddick found his forever home at 2311. Now, we're going to post that right now to Race Chat Live, and y'all can go there to vote. Hopefully, you're enjoying the stream that we have going on. Of course, we are live right now thanks to Miss Sharon. She has picked up on the show this year. So we're live on Fan for Racing, but she has been generous enough to share this over to her Facebook page, which allows us to share it to our Facebook pages. We should have some clips and stuff available throughout the week. You can also find this on the YouTube channel, Fan for Racing. Check out all the other cool content that Miss Sharon and her team puts together week in, week out. We are greatly obliged to be in her network and able to share our show, Race Chat Live, right here with her, and of course with our audience as well. There's the graphics, Race Chat Live poll question, and she's doing such an amazing job at producing in the background. We do appreciate you so very much. Giving a little bit of extra twang to the show. All this is kind of new to us, right? I mean, we're just now kind of learning this as we go, and it's awesome to have a little bit of help and getting cool stuff like this image here brought up. So you can find that on Race Chat Live. It's the Race Chat Live poll question. We had over 1,200 participants. 1,200 people visited our poll question last week. What was it? It was the top 5 to win the Daytona 500. And let me tell you something. Kyle Larson got like, I don't know, 3/4 of that vote, maybe. But
I don't understand why Larson's so favorited, though.
I don't either.
I
I'm not
don't
sure.
get it.
I don't know,
I
man.
keep saying this year after year in Super Speedway race after Super Speedway race. This is not Kyle Larson's race to win. This
Right.
at all. I don't understand why people put him up there. No, I get he's improving a bit. But until he starts winning and continues to be a consistent threat for every Super Speedway race, he should never be a favorite. I'm sorry, Larson fans, but I'm really not. I'm telling you the truth.
I tell you what, another shout out as well. We've got Mama Bear. And for those of you that have followed Race Chat Live for a very long time, we were privileged to have Miss Lee on our show and live with us for a whole year. Of course, some things happened, and she stepped away, but she's always been there. She's always been in the background. If you see her comments popping up here on the thread, just know that she's part of our group, and she's been with us, and she's kind of our protector and our the one who will get on to us at the end of the show for things that we need to clean up and fix. And I tell you what, it's just we have such a great team involved, and I want to make sure that everybody here tonight gets a shout out and gets to be acknowledged that we appreciate them so very much. As we move on to our third topic here tonight, we're moving right along. 2 topics in an hour. I tell you what, we're right on Race Chat Live time. That's we had a pre-show here a little while ago, and Taz was like, "Yeah, we need about 30 minutes and about 30 minutes," and so hopefully this one we can get through a little bit quicker. It's the Rams truck return, a mixed bag that still plays well. Ram returns to NASCAR National Series competition in the trucks with 5 trucks in their program, and this is the first official race for Ram since 2014. I guess some do's and don'ts have happened, right? And so I think one truck finished in the top 10, another led the most laps, and Minnie Tyrell did survive his debut. So we'll start with that. Taz, what do you think? A successful return of Ram trucks to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. How do you think? How do you grade it, man?
I would say, in all honesty, probably. I may be a little harsh, but I think a B+ seems fair. And the reason why I say that is because you got a top 10 with Butterbean in that truck, in the 12 truck. There was a mix with them running in the mix of top 10. I know Daniel Dye, I think, mixed in there a bit for for a time or two in that race. Justin Haley tied for the most laps led with 20. I think the other two trucks that led with 20 laps there were 3 trucks that led 20 laps apiece. Justin Haley led the Colleague Ram, number 16. He was one of them. And I think the other 2 were Spire trucks. I want to say a mix of McDowell and Hocevar, if I remembered right.
Yes.
And Minnie Tyrell, he did not qualify by speed in the 36 truck field. Apparently, and somehow I missed this, and I'm sure everybody else did, or if somebody didn't miss it, it was never mentioned. There was a Ram provisional in case somebody didn't make the 36 truck field, and Tyrell got that Ram provisional to be truck number 37. And the fact that Minnie Tyrell, and I'll give him props, he went from 37th to finish 19th. And yes, at one point he avoided a wreck, and yeah, he kind of hit the wall decently well to avoid that wreck. But the fact that going from 37th to 19th speaks volumes. I think Daniel Dye didn't finish. I don't remember if he was wrecked or what happened with him. In terms of Tony Stewart, unfortunately, early ending, just got caught up in somebody else's mess. So I can't really judge that one so much. But I would say a B+, fair grade for Ram in Colleague, especially Ram in the return.
I can go. I guess I can go with the B+. That might have been a little bit higher than I would have gave, but B+. I can go with that. I feel good with that. Very disappointed in the whole Stewart situation. Growing up, watching Stewart race, was never a fan. Became more of a fan when Stewart became an owner. Loved him to be very open in what he didn't like about NASCAR and things he wanted to change. So I've kind of stuck being a Stewart fan at this point and was wanting to see him doing better. And of course, in no fault of his own, he got involved with so many stuff. So it really has nothing to do with Ram, but I was disappointed we didn't get to see, especially when he felt his truck was getting better, what he could have done with the Dodge truck out there. And maybe I would have had a better opinion of what I saw out there. I was not happy with the whole Minnie Tyrell thing. Very disappointed. I guess we get to see the difference between being out there with 15 other people that are not the top 3 series drivers, and then him being out there with the top 3 series drivers. Definitely not where he needs to be this early in the season. Hopefully he catches up with everybody, but I just felt that he's probably the weakest link right now, and I was hoping a lot. As we were watching it, I was hoping he would win, and going into this race, I really wanted to see him do really well. I was really hoping he would win the race, which I knew it wasn't going to happen, but that's, the hope I had, because I felt that he did really good in the race for the seat competition. But overall, new team, like Miss Lee said, that there's some things they're going to have to learn. Obviously, they're going to have new notes and everything else, because they ain't ran these trucks, the Ram trucks, in a long time. So, they're kind of starting fresh with new information. So we'll see where it goes the rest of the season. I was hoping a lot more. I personally, when I went to go buy my truck for the lawn care service, I didn't care what year, as long as they didn't have a lot of miles, or what color. I wanted either A, I'm a Chevy Silverado fan, or B, I'm a Dodge Ram fan. It didn't matter which one I got. We ended up getting the Dodge Ram. Love my Dodge Ram. I just love I love having my truck. So I'm kind of pulling for Dodge at this point. So I was hoping for a little bit more. I'm not super disappointed. Like I said, it's, no notes, no nothing. You're starting fresh. And Taz, to your thing, I did catch that. It wasn't spoken about a lot, but I did hear that got mentioned, and that's how he got into the race. But I wish they would have talked about it a little bit more because it was confusing unless you caught that little, I don't know, 10-second little tidbit. It wasn't really even talked about. You're muted, Chris.
I like a professional. So let's give homage where it's due, right? Greg Biffle went out after not being in a Truck Series race and like God knows how long, goes out there and just whoops ass on the field, right? Takes home the win, makes it look easy, right? Do it like Biff. Unfortunately, Stewart didn't do it like Biff. He wasn't able to capitalize. I know that Stewart had a very strong race truck, and if we'd have got to see him there at the end, maybe we'd have got to see something. And it's no point in staying out at that age and the opportunity that he was given to run for points. You're not running for points. You're not running a championship. So calling it a night was unfortunate for the fans, but it was the right move for him. No reason in putting him in any kind of jeopardy of maybe getting injured or anything like that. Justin Haley had a fast truck. He led 20 laps of the race. He wasn't around at the end or the finish. As Miss Lee said, Kali can get her done. They did. Mini Tyrell finished 19th. Daniel Dye, I think, was kind of the one that wasn't talked about very much throughout the night. He come home 17th. And the protege, prodigy, is it prodigy or protege? Which one is it? The prodigy?
Protege.
Well, it could be. But is he the Rush prodigy? Is he the Ram prodigy? I think that there's a little bit of a different definition in both of them. I'll have to check that here in just a minute in my notes. The one Butterbean Queen.
Before we hit on Butterbean Queen with where you're going with this, Chris, I don't mean to interrupt, but we're talking about Mini Tyrell here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys gave him like higher expectations than I did, but you have to remember Mini Tyrell, his background is short track, late model racing. Nothing bigger than that, really. So this was kind of all new, kind of a test for him. So in my opinion, that's why I said earlier, going from 37th to 19th on his first ever super speedway race and his first ever truck race. And I guess to kind of quote him, he kept all four fenders together when it was all said and done. He lived up to the Biff's quote of, if you ain't, he goes, in order to finish first, you must first finish. So,
and also to Chris's point, when he said that they didn't talk about Daniel Dye much. Let's be honest. If Mini Tyrell hadn't won the race for the seat competition, they probably would have never mentioned his name. There was many other drivers that didn't get hardly mentioned or not mentioned at all. So I don't want to take anything away from Daniel Dye, who actually finished better than Tyrell, because if it wouldn't have been for that competition, they probably never would have said Mini's name all night long.
Yes. Butterbean finished 7th, right? He represented Ram. He is definitely the future of the organization, as we have the prodigy and protege sound alike but mean very different. A prodigy is a young person with exceptional, almost freakish natural talent or ability, usually a child or teen. Racing prodigy. Okay, so a protege is someone being taught, guided, or promoted by an older, experienced mentor. So he kind of is like, he falls into both of them. Like both of those actually kind of fit to exactly what Butterbean Queen is right now for Ram. And he's definitely the prodigy. He's got a lot of talent, and he's definitely the protege of Ram. So those two words did fit, just to kind of in a slightly different context.
I feel like with Colleague and Ram, to kind of start things off, they got the veteran guy in Justin Haley, who's got he's got some years under his belt, but still has a lot of years left to go.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like with them picking up a veteran of the sport, with a veteran of the sport, they got that one right, and they can keep him for a while. In terms of And obviously, colleague, if something doesn't go well on the Cup side, either with Allmendinger, say if he says, I'm not going Cup racing after this year, or if something doesn't go over well with Ty Dillon, per se, on the Cup side, they have Justin Haley to move up into Cup.
Right.
So there's that little push and shove kind of deal that or flexibility, I should really say, with Collick and Justin Haley. Smart move number one there. Smart move number two was obviously getting Butterbean Queen. Yes, he won the ARCA championship, and I understand ARCA, there's not a lot of competitiveness per se, but that did help Butterbean propel into the Truck Series. And with Ram coming back in, they got Butterbean at a rookie, in the rookie year. They have a lot of time to work with him, especially in the Colleague side too. So, like I said, Colleague, there's lots of flexibility. Just in Haley and Butterbean alone, I mean, say in the next 3 years, Ty Dillon and Allmendinger are not part of the Cup team. There's Justin Haley and Butterbean McQueen. Butterbean McQueen.
Butterbean McQueen.
This is how you know your kids watch Cars very often.
Lightning McQueen. Oh my goodness, right?
Also, that rotating car also helps you because you're always going to almost always have a veteran come in as well. Like you have Stewart, you're going to have other veterans come in that will also help, get these, they could kind of pick their brain and learn things from them as well. And kind of a side note, but talking about Butterbean McQueen there, Butterbean Queen. This is the first week. I think it's the first weekend my wife has actually sat here and watched all 3 series. I'm not gonna say she's watched the entire all 3 races, but it's the first time. She is loving hearing names like Butterbean and Cletus. Like she thinks this is just the most awesome thing out there right now. So we're walking around talking about Cletus and the Dinger and Butterbean Queen. Butterbean Queen these days.
And look, as a short track announcer, dirt track announcer, we try to filter in these nicknames and stuff. In the moment that I hear one, it's like it's top priority. I don't care what engine you run. I don't care who your sponsors are. I don't care who built your race car. But buddy, if you got a nickname, I gotta get that memorized. And of course, all those others matter as well. But I really feel like selling it to the audience of your nickname, so that the fan knows what your nickname is. I think that's awesome. And being that Butterbean Queen, I love it as well. Cletus,
plus with nicknames,
we're going to talk about him in a minute.
With nicknames, it kind of, makes fans makes the general race fan, not just say the fan of that specific driver, but the general race fans know who you are. Like Ryan Newman, for instance, his nickname, the Rocket Man. Mm-hmm. Boom, everyone knows him there.
Everybody.
Front row Joe.
That's right, Joe Nemechek. Right.
That's right.
Right. 07 time.
Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy!
Awesome Bill.
That's right. All right. Chase the Face. I don't know if he welcomes that one as much as what we do.
Rowdy.
There you go. What a name in itself. Very significant. It meets the product there, for sure. Junebug.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are names that you just don't have to go through the full vocabulary. You don't have to spell out all 26 letters of somebody's name. You can just give them the nickname. And for the most part, we all know who Mr. Excitement is, right?
Yep. You got the Smoke Show, or if you want to call him Tony the Tiger.
Handsome Harry.
I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for Logano to get that Mr. Clean sponsorship.
Smoke.
Intimidator.
Right. So I guess you guys heard who the next driver in the free agent seat is, correct?
Yep, Ty Dillon.
Good old Ty Dillon. Boy, they went from smoke
the Pillsbury Dill Boy.
Mr. CJ Sports.
Now he might be a free agent after the year's over with.
Oh my goodness gracious! So I'm really surprised he must not have a deal with Chevrolet. So he must not be a Chevrolet driver if he's going to be able to go and race a Dodge, a Ram pickup truck there.
I think Collick has that flexibility though.
Yeah, he is a colleague driver, right? So he's not really a free agent. He's kind of a fill-in, right? So I was
You
expecting.
have to remember, Kaulig has that flexibility wearing the Cup because Ram is not ready to move up into the Cup level yet. So I think Kaulig's like on the end of Chevy.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, Kaulig has flexibility between Chevy and Ram. Shoot, Manny Tyrell drove a Ram-sponsored Chevy Arca car, for crying out loud.
Wasn't that crazy? My goodness, like that's just a way to get you all confused. You're like, that's a Ram Chevy, a Ram. Okay, all right. I'm confused here. So you know what? Ram's here to stay. This is a great time to tell you guys if you want to come on board and get some signage or get a product placement or just get a shout out to your business. You can hit us up at Race Chat Live, or you can contact Mr. CJ Sports at the 110 Nation Sports, or you can even contact Fan for Racing at fanforracing.com. And we would love to help bring you on board and give you some product placement and some advertisement on this great show. That's one thing that I think that we've missed out the opportunity of for the last many years is getting other people involved into this and we're now at a position, I believe, where we could be really good at product placement and or shout outs for advertisements and stuff. And we see it now, how it's used. Like when me and Mr. CJ Sports started this a long time ago, and Mr. CJ Sports, he was on his own path at one time along with me. We were trying to figure out how to integrate that kind of stuff into this business. And it just, it's really evolved over time to where it is today. It's so much easier now to sell a sponsor on one of these types of podcasts and stuff. We want to grow as well. So make sure if you're listening to the show, you share it, you like it, you comment it, and you join us every Wednesday night. We've got, we're going into, and I believe that this is going to be kind of a main subject throughout the year. I want to take a couple of names that you constantly hear all week. Now we could say Tyler Reddick kind of fit that grade as well. A lot of people call it the door bumper clear. I believe call it the what is it? Something Hall of Fame. Oh my goodness. So it's a negative context. I guess I probably don't need to put it here, but this week it seems like there's been a lot of talk, a lot of emotion, a lot of comments about none other than I think is great for racing, Cletus McFarland. And also, since we're going to add this, we're going to go ahead and put the opposite maybe of where people view. So you might be on one side, but let's try this other side. Natalie Decker. Natalie Decker took a lot of, it was kind of like a, Decker, man, I'm telling you, like people were going after this poor girl. We've had Natalie on in previous years, back in her younger time before she was really known as an ARCA racer or an Xfinity or truck racer. Mr. CJ Sports has interviewed her for years in the years past. So we kind of had a personal relationship with Natalie, and she's a sweet girl, and a lot of people can have their opinions about her and whatnot. But in reality, we all have sat at this table and agreed at some point in time or another, the female presence is definitely needed in NASCAR. And that's, Natalie's brought a certain side of that. She bears a little bit of skin, kind of similar to the way Danica Patrick sold herself in NASCAR. You have the Patty Moise and the Shauna Robinson, and now you have Catherine Legg, but you also have Natalie Decker and Tony Behringer and some of these other ladies that don't mind, giving you a little something to go about. Hey, that's part of racing, and it's a guy's sport for a lot of it. Of course, females are just as involved in the fan side. So we want to make sure we're not making it an exclusive club, because I love the fact that my wife loves to go to race events, and I love the fact that we have female racers out there. But we have Cletus McFarland, who supposedly bought his ride, and then we've got Natalie Decker, who she's only there because she's pretty. But I kind of have a different feeling about both of those. But I'm going to go ahead and start it out with letting you, Mr. CJ Sports, tell your kind of side of it. You've personally been involved with Natalie Decker over the years. You've seen what Cletus McFarland has done. You see his presence on YouTube. And may I add that his in-car camera for that truck race, or that maybe it was the ARCA race, was originally during live rolling during the race was on, was 50,000. But I checked back not even an hour after the race was over, and it was totaled at 357,000 views. 357,000 views just off that one YouTube channel. I'm going to pass the baton over to you, Mr. CJ Sports.
It's probably more people than they had watched the race. We'll start with Cletus. I loved it. I love the fact that in his interview he said, "I didn't check myself before I wrecked myself." I'm still rolling over that one. It's a personality. I watched a clip where he went down to Dale Jr. and Junior Motorsports and was on the talk show as well, Dirty Mo, whatever. We need that in our sport. As much as anything anybody does different, fans will complain about. But anything that they do, they'll complain about. But at the same time, they'll complain if nothing's different. And so there's never, ever going to be a pleasing of the NASCAR fans, the majority of them. The NASCAR fan will complain about this, NASCAR changed it, and they'll complain that NASCAR changed it. It's a never-ending cycle, and I think this is just one more thing that you have your traditional NASCAR fans that are going to complain about. I personally loved it. I felt that you had somebody that showed emotion, excitement, was a personality, somebody that you want to, especially if you're not an everyday fan, like my wife. Man, she'll sit down and watch any truck race with Cletus in it. She loved the whole Cletus name, his whole energy, his whole everything. If he paid for his ride, he paid for his ride. Everybody's rides are paid for one way or another, so I don't really care about that whole aspect of it. Everybody that, for the most part, is one way or another paid their way, or their family has paid their way to where they're at this point. And still some of them continue to. So that's here nor there. I loved it. I thought it was fun. His interview was fun. He was just a fun time, especially in a truck series that doesn't get a lot of views. I was joking, but at the same time, that 300 some odd thousand, that probably wasn't too far off from the numbers that actually watched the race. So he brings some eyes to the sport. I wish he would have made it longer. I wish it would have played out different. Even if he didn't win the race, even if he didn't finish top 10, just to be able to hear him on the radio, just to kind of see his personality out there, I think would have been great, entertaining for the night. And would be glad to see him in a truck again and watch and see if he brings the same energy. The Natalie Decker situation. Yes, we've had her on the 110 Nation Sports Show many times. Matter of fact, Steve Billmeyer had her on Racing with Big Sweat at least once that I remember of. And then, of course, Race Chat Live as well. Even though I've reached out over the last couple of years, it's been a couple of years at this point, but over the last couple of years, and tried to get her back on one of the shows. I never heard back. My feelings were hurt a little bit. I'm just playing, but I did try to. I don't get necessarily all the backlash. She doesn't come off to me, and as much as I don't want to say this because I was a Danica Patrick fan, like she is better than everybody and has all this financial backing for no reason coming in. GoDaddy was a big deciding factor of all this and continue to kind of help make that whole ride possible. And there was others that eventually stepped in. And for what? She didn't really do much their entire time. Natalie Decker's local sponsorships has, the family has helped, support her career. She's not, just automatically like Haley Deegan, a thrown-with monster on the side of her car because who her dad is. She's doing this a much longer and harder way. Just had a kid last race season, back in phenomenal shape. Yes, a little skin in the game. You made that comment earlier. Not quite a fan of that. And if I'm not mistaken, Steve Billmeyer even had to applaud her way back in the day that she was more on the conservative side when it came to pictures and stuff. And she's kind of, as she's become a woman now and she's in her 20s, that's kind of changed. And I guess if I had the body after having a kid, I probably would want to be the same way. I'm not a woman, nor am I ever having a kid, and I'm obviously not in shape, so I don't have those factors to play with me. But it blows my mind, the fan base, like them making a big deal out of her unzipping her driver's suit, standing there with the bra, and half the time the picture was clipped out, and for the rest of the time that you did see the person standing next to her, unless you knew he was the comedian that did his comedy, he does his comedy shows with the shirt off, you wouldn't know who he was, and blew up out of proportion, other than her just simply having a good time, not going topless, but going with a bra just to kind of take a picture with him. She did her interview. She did her interview with her daughter, with her son or daughter, I forget what it is, with her kid though, with Fox or NBC, whoever it was out there on Friday, and she kind of stayed. She didn't cause the wreck. She got caught up in someone else's. Didn't realize she
blamed on somebody else that had no control over their own truck.
Well,
Bert Kreischer is his name. If you guys are wondering about what picture or photo we're talking about, who she was with.
It's hard to say whether or not he could have stopped or not. He was still rolling across traffic. I'm not blaming it on him, but I can understand the frustration at the same time, especially when your spotter told you to go high, that you're good, and then you took a hard hit that you could tell it hurt, and she even talked about it after she got out of the infield care, that either she ain't been in the car a while or that was a hard hit because it hurt. Regardless if it was my spotter that was incorrect or if the driver should have hit the brakes versus rolling, I'd probably be mad too that I having a decent day and slammed into another car. Now I hurt. So I don't fault her for that. I actually got a kick out of listening to the explicit filled radioactive. As a matter of fact, I was trying to get that that clip. I could never find it. But do I wish it was better and had better performances, maybe with a better team? Sure, but it is what it is. Just like any other driver, sometimes she makes boneheaded decisions. I don't feel this weekend was one of those. I just think that honestly it was a combination of the car still rolling and the spotter misinforming her where she really needed to go, and that was just a product of what happened there.
I don't know Natalie to an extent like you guys do, so I can't really comment much other than what I see from the races and the social media presence of that side. But to what you said there, Mr. CJ, of her being in better equipment and such, let's rewind back to ARCA. When she was there, she was in Venturini, the top of the top in ARCA. Did not even win a race. I think she was like second to last in points of full-time drivers. And I'm not trying to put a negative on that, but at the same time, it's like you're in best of the best equipment. You are second to last of the full-time ARCA drivers for a points championship. I don't know if it's something amiss on your end, or Venturini didn't invest in you like they do with everybody else.
I think if she was in Venturini now, I think that was lack of experience. And I'm not trying to make excuses. I think that was lack of experience. I think if she was in that equipment now in the ARCA series, I think we would see different. She kind of just went from, local track to in an ARCA car. I think that was more so because she had some local backing that would be able to help fund her ride. And so she got the ride. But I think if we could backtrack after her doing the Truck Series race, and I think some Xfinity Series races, and getting the full ARCA Series races underneath her belt, I think we would see a little bit different results.
In your comment down there, Miss Lee, yes, teams like to push female drivers up quickly. I think at the start of her career through what used to be known as K&N, now it's ARCA, and then got to trucks, was Haley Deegan. She did the K&N West and was a championship contender in there. And then I think she did 1 year of the main ARCA series before going into trucks. I think if Haley, and I remember Deegan when she was in the ARCA ranks, she was sitting there saying she didn't want to move up until she felt like she was ready. But my concern of Deegan, how she moved up, was she herself ready to move up to the trucks, or was she kind of pushed to that level? To Miss Lee's point, was Deegan pushed to the Xfinity instead of letting her go? Because after Xfinity, she had nothing.
Right.
And I remember her saying at one point during her truck career, or even it might have been in ARCA, but I know definitely in the truck part of it, she mentioned that she did mention she was struggling with sponsors.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's weird to say because, I mean, it's Deegan. It's I guess you could say a household racing name.
Right.
So the fact that, I guess there's probably different factors of this whole, female driver deal. I don't know if it's a sponsor deal, sponsors are iffy behind it, or if it's nobody really wants to take a chance because it's a female, which is unfortunate. But yeah, I think. But then when I think the best point is that a mix of sponsors, and I think Deegan was also realizing I'm at a level that I don't think I should really be competing in, because I think she really hit the factor of I was rushed too much.
Right.
Or too quick.
Right.
She did a form of motorsports that she has no familiarity of last year. That was doing the Indy NXT series, which for those who don't know what that is, that's basically the Xfinity or O'Reilly Park series to IndyCar. She did that last year, and I don't think she performed to the team's expectations for her being her first time in an open wheel car, because she didn't last long there, because now she's in the ARCA West series full time, I believe, if I remember right. So I don't know what the deal is in terms of if teams are trying to push the female drivers for a marketing standpoint, and the female drivers are trying to sit here and say, look, I'm not ready for it. But I guess money and sponsors talk, or teams just say the right words to make these ladies say, okay, we'll go for it, I guess. But in terms of the Cletus McFarland deal, that's a huge following in its own right. I mean, you have to think, not only, yes, he had his YouTube channel, but he also revised, rebirthed what used to be known as DeSoto Speedway in Florida to what is now known as the Freedom Factory. And he basically took retired Crown Vics, and just races them. And it grew so much with what he did just in that one track. Then now he's taking those Crown Vic races he's gone to Bristol with them. He doesn't do Bristol anymore, I don't believe. He's now gone to Stafford. He's gone to Indianapolis. He's now going to Michigan this year, which is new. He's going to different places with these things.
Yeah. He's definitely got a cult following, and he's got guys that are watching him and his series. I basically said earlier in my very own kitchen that we're talking about one of the greatest short track promoters that's ever lived, and it happened overnight for this guy. He's literally been able to do things for short track racing that promoters spend years trying to accomplish. He can say, I'm going to race 200 Maximas at Nashville Fairgrounds, and 250 Maximas are going to show up. Like, I mean, I don't know how he does it, but not only is he going to have 250 Maximas show up, but he's going to have a sold out crowd. And he's also going to have people like Larry Mack, who's going to call the race. So, I mean, it just happened that quickly for this guy, and he's really got a presence. I do want to throw a thought and theory out there real quick, and it's pertaining to the Natalie Decker thing before we get too far gone from it. I do understand what everybody's saying, that we need to invest a little bit longer time and whatnot into the female racer. We need to quit trying to throw her in there and then, sell a bunch of ads and then boom, she's gone. I want Catherine Legg to be a full-time entity in the NASCAR Cup Series, and we need to make sure that happens. But also, just for theory and thought, guys, and I may be out of pocket for this, do we need maybe a 5-race, 10-race women's series, maybe just to spotlight these women, maybe even an SRX style race car to get these ladies a little bit further along? I mean, maybe that's out of pocket. I know that they want to be inclusive.
Don't get me into another thing. Jeez Louise, I was just getting over the race for the seat. Now you're asking me to go for another thing like this? Golly.
Yes, I mean, come on, man. It worked for the Ram, right? We got involved in it. So let's do a mini series where we do this with our female racers. And that way we do find the true female racer and give her that opportunity to step above and beyond. It's really hard these days if they're not showing up with a whole lot of money in their pocketbooks.
My brain is already rolling with these things in my head.
Right, so we need you to own it.
You're making my creative head go nuts.
Right, so and as I said about Cletus, like there's plenty of room in this racing atmosphere for Cletus and what he brings along. As Mr. CJ Sports said, you can't sit here and talk about him buying a ride when literally there's Fortune 500 kids that are in these cockpits that have no racing experience whatsoever. And Daddy bought them a late model, and now all of a sudden they're going ARCA racing. Chaz Thompson said it best. The ARCA series is basically a series based off of Daddy's Money go-karts. They're just a little bit higher than go-karts. And so, Cletus, you're going to earn your spot in NASCAR. I wish you still had Biff that was giving you the guidance that he was giving you. Real quick, Cletus was able to say, look, I thought I was just going to be able to go cup racing and go jump in a cup car and go race the Daytona 500 in 1 year. He found out real quick there's a lot more to it than that. Back to the Natalie Decker side, we're continuing to search for this female racer that can run week in, week out with the boys of the summer. And I think that until we find 1, 2, 3 females to carry that torch, we're going to continue to see the Natalie Deckers, the Haley Deegans and whatnot. And I want one of these female racers to be able to grow within the sport. Not just one of them. I want I want the young female racers of the world. Look, Hannah Newhouse had just as much talent as Brandon McReynolds, right? She was there at the same time that he was coming up. She was just as talented of a race car driver. She found her nick in the World of Outlaw scene. She does a lot of broadcasting and stuff. And I
think she found more. I think her home was more on the media aspect versus being a driver. Not to take away from her driving career by any means necessary.
Right. Well, Carson Ellis.
I think she was just more natural and more born into. I know born into it is not really the best saying, but lack of better words. Right. But I think that's the part. I think that's where she kind of fit into that side of motorsports.
Yeah, she ended up working for MRN or one of them, and did a lot of news. I think she took some time off. She got married. She's got a kid now. I don't know if she's back this season or not, but yeah, she really got enriched with the whole media side. Yes, matter of fact, one of the times I did media recently, we was both supposed to be at the track, but for some reason she didn't show up or wasn't able to make it. Right. So I was hoping to meet up with her because I hadn't seen her in a while.
Yeah, she was working for Dirt Vision, I believe, with the World of Outlaws, and then now she has since moved on from that gig as well. But I do remember what you were talking about. I believe she was having a child at that time. But there's been plenty of talented female racers come through the ranks. Just unfortunately, we've not been able to get them up to that cup seat. I think that we so very need. Danica Patrick, people can slam on her all they want to. We talked about her endlessly in the time that she was racing, but she was great for racing. She gave girls to look up to, and she was a winner. She was a winner in the IndyCar series. And look, she would have been a winner at Montreal had somebody not thrown a damn shoe out on the racetrack and caused chaos from that point on, if you guys remember correctly. So, Danica sat on a Daytona 500 pole. She was and look, when you compare personalities of Natalie Decker versus Danica Patrick was a lot more fiery than Natalie Decker has ever shown to be. Though her comments at the end of her racing with Sam Mayer, I think did catch a lot of us by surprise. So we're going to try to stick with that kind of subject weekly. We're going to have a couple of drivers that we highlight, maybe for the good, maybe for the bad, maybe where we just are trying to take the negative out of something and put the positive back in. And I think that's what we did here tonight with Cletus McFarland and Natalie Decker. Both completely opposite, but somehow or another, they're both the same. They both have been criticized for their availability in the sport. And I think that there's enough room. There's 40-something cars in each series. That's just put the top 3 series together. That's over 120 drivers. I think that we have room for a Cletus McFarland or Natalie Decker in those. And, of course, there's other names that we missed. Amber Balkan, I think, is one of the names Miss Lee had showed us here just a few minutes ago. Of course, I remember Hannah Newhouse. There was a young lady, Joanna Long. I don't know if you guys remember her.
Yep.
She was a snowball derby winner. Didn't really get much of a chance there to race in the upper levels of racing, but it's definitely, we are waiting on the next prodigy for a female racer to represent. And honestly, I keep saying again and again and again, I'll beat it like old drum. Catherine Legg is the female driver that NASCAR needs. She deserves the opportunity. She's proven that she's worth it. She has familiarity with this type of car. I think she did really good last year. I'm looking forward to seeing if she maybe gets the opportunity to race here again. So
another name we had on quite a few times was Tony Bread Dingler, how you say her last name. Now she didn't make the race this weekend. And she'd been running for Venturini Motorsports. I don't know if she's still running with them or who she runs with. I know she didn't make the race. I do follow her as well. I'd like to see her make some moves and move on up as well.
All right, guys, we were running 15 minutes down to the end of the show. We've got just one last topic that we've got to cover, and this is going to be a weekly segment as well. It's going to be Taz's Power Rankings, Taz's weekly NASCAR team rankings. Taz Taylor, we're going to sit back. We're going to give you the microphone for a minute. You work us through Taz's weekly NASCAR team rankings.
All right, so we have done this before in the past, but not to a weekly aspect. To kind of make this like a quick summary of this, we have done this in a once a month / once every 2 months segment type of deal, to where we kind of see where the teams start out for the season. Then we give like a couple months later, see where they stand at that point, how much has they changed. Well, this time around, I kind of want to do, let's see how things shake up week by week. Are we looking at a solid weekly top contender as an organization? Or are we seeing them as they're only there for a week and then we don't see them ever again? So maybe we'll kind of get an understanding of where teams stand on a week-by-week basis. Basically, how we're going to do this is that there are 15 Cup teams. The rankings are done based upon the full-time entries. So 2311 will be based off of their 3 full-time entries, not their 3-time entries plus their part-time. Legacy, it'll be their 2 full-time, not the 84 Jimmy Johnson car. So let's keep that in mind. I understand teams have more cars than others, but I kind of based my rankings off of average points position, and I look at the owner's points, not so much of the driver's points, because we've had instances in the past where, say, Larson, for instance, missed a race on the driver's side. He didn't get points for him, but the Hendrick 5 car got points because there was a driver involved with that car for what Larson missed on. So anyway, we'll get to the bottom 5 teams. I'm going to call them the basement 5. To start out week 1 after Daytona. This is kind of, average with qualifying duels and the 500 on Sunday. We'll get a quick shocking update, whatever. 15 is Joe Gibbs Racing. 14 is Trackhouse Racing. 13, Haas Factory Team. Number 12, RCR, Richard Childress Racing. And number 11, Legacy Motor Club. Takeaways, thoughts. Let's start with Mr. CJ quick. You're muted.
There you go. I mean, they all sounded good. I was trying to reply to Miss Lee, so I didn't catch quite everything on the list. Let me pull it up real quick.
Gibbs, Trackhouse, House Factory, RCR, and Legacy. You're 15 through 11.
Yeah, I don't see other than maybe no, you didn't say Penske. So yeah, no, I'm fine with all those. All of them were kind of the back of the house drivers for this weekend in results, and none of them really flashed me. So I like that 11 through 15.
Yeah, so 15 huge resources, but the 500 didn't show it. Is this just plate race chaos, or are they behind the curve early? Trackhouse, tons of height, tons of talent. Rough Daytona, so they start low, but this could swing fast. The 13th position, Haas Factory, new identity, new era. Not a disaster, but nothing yet that screams contender after week one. RCR, they used to own the plates. Now they feel mid-pack. I need to see something else before I'm willing to watch them climb. And Legacy at 11, still searching for an identity and consistency. Flashes are there, but not enough to crack the top 10. Taz?
Basically, the only real shocker, to my opinion, on this is the Joe Gibbs. I mean, to start him at the very bottom of the tank. I mean, shoot. Sometimes when you're at the bottom of the tank, the only direction to go is up, and that's all they can do.
Yep.
I mean, Chase Briscoe, great qualifying speed effort. Denny Hamlin, same deal. Denny Hamlin probably could have had a better point steal had he not got involved in the wreck with Justin Allgaier. So I feel like Daytona wasn't, and then Ty Gibbs wasn't really there for much. I feel like I'm missing a Gibbs driver out of this, Christopher Bell. Christopher Bell was hit or miss throughout the whole week, so I think that's the only team I kind of missed on. Trackhouse had spurts with SVG to start the race. Zillage had unfortunate. Ross Chastain missed unfortunate. So I think those are the two that'll go up. But given this week, it's okay. Moving on to the mid-pack, the climbing 5, which is ranked 6 through 10. We'll start number 10 of Rick Ware Racing, number 9, Colleague Racing, number 8, Front Row Motorsports, number 7, Hendrick Motorsports, and number 6, Team Penske. Thoughts? We'll start with Chris this time around, then we'll get to Jason.
Yeah, 10, Rick Ware, any step forward is a big deal. They look racier and less like a pure back marker. So they sneak into the top 10. 9, Colleague, busy program across both series, solid, not spectacular, but there's real foundation to build on. Front Row at number 8, quietly one of the better organizations at Daytona. They had flashes. Of course, Zane Smith could have pulled it out there at the end. They keep proving they're more than just a small team. I agree with that. Hendrick, massive brand, not their best 500. Hard to drop them too far, but they're not an automatic top spot after week one, so that's always refreshing to see. Penske, usually the super speedway measuring pick. They were fine, but the clear alpha they've been in the past, not the clear alpha they've been in the past. So definitely we're used to a little bit more dominance from those Roush Yates Penske Fords.
With the Rick Ware thing, I think it'll be short-lived. I think we'll find them in the bottom tier very quickly. I just do. Colleague, I think Daytona is kind of a crapshoot for everybody. I think you got drivers that are a little bit stronger in other types of courses, like Almadinger and the road courses. I think we'll see them hang around this middle tier, maybe move up a little bit, but kind of stay right around here. Front row, I'd like to see them continue doing what they're doing. Look like they got their things together. Hendrick, I think if William Byron wouldn't have been caught up in somebody's mess, we could have seen a three-peat. I don't think he was the strongest car, but I think he had a good car, and I think there's a good chance that things would have been a little bit different. I don't think Larson would have won the race, but I think Larson could have been a top 10 car by the end of the day if he wouldn't been caught up in stuff. So I think the Hendricks ranking and finish is more a product of what happened on the track, not necessarily their product or them causing anything. Penske, once again, you had Logano out front. You had Ryan Blaney out front. Just product of Daytona. I'd be shocked if we don't have them in the top 5 within the next week or two. So that's where I sit with those.
Alrighty, and my takeaway for that group is I think the biggest shocker for me out of that group for this week is Team Penske. I figured they would have been top 5 out of the gate. Their strong Ford Super Speedway program is always up there. I think they lacked something somewhere. I think it was more on Sunday than in the duels. I don't know what it was, if they were just caught in misfortunes or I don't know. Something was amiss, I felt like, Sunday for Penske as a general whole. But that's my takeaway for that one, really. Everyone else pretty much hit the points for the rest of them. Moving on to our top 5 teams. Number 5 would be the Wood Brothers, number 21. Number 4, I got Aspire Motorsports. Number 3, RFK Racing. Number 2, I have 2311, despite their Daytona 500 win. And number 1, I have Hayek Motorsports. That's right, Recce Spinhouse team, number 47.
Recce Spinhouse?
Of number 1. And I think, Chris, you may have hit the mark for my reasoning for number 1 on this one, which we'll get to Mr. CJ first before you hit your points. Real quick.
I like them. I think your 4 and 5 will fall into the second tier. That's where Penske and Hendrick will move up on. RFK, come out the gates. You win the Clash on a small track. You had a pretty good showing at Daytona. So I think we might have seen RFK kind of turn in the right direction. That was a question going into the season and a question even after the Clash. So I'd like to see if they could continue being a top 5 powerhouse team. 2311, can they keep the momentum up? I like them being a top team right now, and the momentum, as we talked earlier, is on the up and up for them. We'll see how that takes them into the next race. And I want to speak about Ricky Brickhouse.
Almost a two-time Daytona 500 winner.
Listen, and I want to hit on it quick because I know Chris is going to say it first. The only reason why Hayek got the number 1 over 2311 is that I feel like as an organization, Hayek and the 47 team were more consistent throughout the week between qualifying to the 500 versus 2311. I feel like 2311 qualifying was an abysmal. I mean, the 67 outshadowed everybody else. Yep. The duels, it's a very slight improvement, but nothing really changed. And then, like I mentioned, to start the show, there was a light switch for the Sunday. And unfortunately, that light switch, I think, came on towards stage 3 in that fuel-saving portion.
Right. So my takes, Wood Brothers, historic team that actually showed some life, not just a nostalgic act. There's some real speed there. Of course, they should be. They are part of the Penske organization. They actually are just in front of that with Penske being at 6. Number 4, Spire, the little team that could, is starting to look like the little team that does. Carson Hocevar was leading the Daytona 499 or 498 and a half. So we have 497 and 3/4 or something like that. Anyway, he didn't quite make it around on the last lap. So they definitely had a good outing at Daytona. RFK, play track respect, still intact, not perfect, but they look like a team that can win anywhere, not just survive. I was concerned about Brett Keselowski the entire race with fear that he may get hurt. He did get wrecked there at the end, but everything was fine, and that's great. 23-11. Really, there's a reason why they're number 2. I think that there's an argument that they should be number 1. They all around, all cars were strong. This looks like a fully mature powerhouse now, not just the MJ project like that. And number 1, Hayek, the top spot goes to the squad in this universe. They did everything you wanted them to do in week 1: speed, execution, and results. And they set the bar for Daytona. So everybody's chasing them. Now, it's not a win and you're in. I know that would be a great situation for this team, and this is where I think the win and you're in really has a negative effect to the smaller teams that are able to start things strong. Of course, I say win and you're in, and Ricky didn't win, but it's still
he was close
in that situation where he could have locked himself in. But yeah, so that is Taz's weekly NASCAR team rankings. We want to thank Ms. Sharon for putting that image up for us. We've got about 3 minutes to go, guys, before we've got to head on out of here. What a great show we had tonight. We had organization. We had some good takes. And hopefully we'll have some content to play with throughout the week. Of course, all of us have daytime jobs and other things, other affairs that we do and are tied to. Of course, you can find me at Flag of Caution on Twitter, TikTok, Chris Yellow Caution Flag Creighton on Facebook and YouTube, and Flag of Caution. Yeah, I did say that on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok. But also, you can find me during the race season every other weekend at the House of Hook, Why Not Motorsports Park. I am the voice of Why Not. They call me the dirtiest voice in the South. I don't know. I used to smoke cigarettes and I had a lot more scratchy voice, but I quit smoking cigarettes 6 years ago, and I think I'm sounding more like Dale. It sounds like Dale these days. So gotten rid of the scratchy voice and more of the sounds like Dale voice. But Mr. Taz Taylor, tell us about yourself. Tell us where we can find you, and of course, the show you can find it on Fan for Racing YouTube channel. We will have a hard copy of this and try to get it knocked down into certain things and sent over to hopefully Spreaker, and then upload it to the iHeartRadio platforms and the Spotify's and the Apple Musics of the world. Taz, tell us about yourself real quick before we go here tonight, and then you, Mr. CJ Sports.
You'll find me once we get a couple months later into the year at Dreamfield Speedways. They had Flagger, and of course, I'll probably be popping in on the Race Chat Live at 110 pages as we go along throughout the year as well.
You can find me on Twitter at 110 Nation or at Mr. CJ Sports. Make sure you check us out on Facebook, the 110 Nation Sports. Also, our merchandise company, the 110 Sports and Collectibles Company. Make sure you guys go over there and follow us. And also follow us or subscribe to our YouTube channel, the 110 Nation.
All right, guys. Well, we do want to thank Fan for Racing for giving us the opportunity to be here tonight. There is no outro, but Taz, did we end the show the kind of the way that you wanted us to?
I got the closing line. Closing line.
All right, here we go. Here we go.
This has been Race Chat Live with the Caution Flag Racer Radio, Chris Creighton, Mr. CJ Sports of 110 Nation, Jason. I'm the Tasmanian Devil Flaggers, Taz Taylor, saying good night. See you next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday. Same bad time, same bad place.